So I know everybody's going to be really excited to talk about money. And when I listen to other people talk about planning, I want to know what are their actual targets for these things. Like what are the, if I listen to someone talk about 90-day planning, what is it that what are the day-by-day targets to get to the 90-day plan? So I want to talk about a few of the things that I am shooting for with financially in our business and in the money sector. And the money sector for me is multiple different things, because it's ultimately what are we going to produce overall and the different things we're doing. So for me, it may be some of the real estate stuff I'm involved in. It may be a part of GrowCom. It may be a part of individual businesses like Scooters Lawn Care in Florida and Scooters Lawn Care in Illinois, or it may be the whole thing as a whole. So start off with one of the things that is the whole thing as a whole. I want to have $1 million quarter overall between Scooters Lawn Care Florida and Illinois. And for me, that specific target looks like really just continuing fostering culture at this point. That's where I have like culture targets in my business, and I have like strategic set points of the sales that we want to have, the amount of sales we want to have. So those are really big things. Like I know we're going back to kind of the love part of nurturing relationships and whatnot, but there's big pieces in that are going to help us hit that quarter. Then I know there's another big target I have of having 50 GrowCom members by the end of second quarter. And so something I'm doing with that is always continuously creating content like what we're creating right now, continuously pushing out YouTube videos to help educate people and to help people grow their business. And that allows more people to know about what we're doing, and which leads people back to things that are really, really powerful like GrowCom that can help people. And I've got those set out where like 3 days a week, I'm shooting some kind of content. I'm kind of batching that together. Now my goal in Florida is to have over 6 figures a month. Like we've already hit the 6-figure a month mark, but now it's the goal of keep it consistently at 6 figures. So to me, that's sending an estimate every day. None of this shit is rocket science. That's the crazy thing. When you boil this stuff down, just send an estimate every fucking day on something. Make sure you do that. Unfortunately, not every day you're going to hit your goal. Like a lot of this is like, you can't hate your life if you fail. You wrap it up and you move to the next day where you're going to win. And then this gets you back on course. But I know that is a goal that I need to do. I need to send an estimate every day. I need to do these little tiny things. And those are just a few of my targets that shoot me towards those goals, which overall is going to make the big picture happen. For me, I realize my biggest piece of advice, if you're planning this portion, don't try to do a million freaking things. You can only do so much. So what are the biggest things that you could contribute to that would allow you to have the most success in the sector? And so for me, those are a few of the big sectors right there that I really, really want to see happen, that I really want to see that growth in, because they excite me the most, and I think they overall benefit everything really well. And this is just an action of being 1% each day, like put in just a little bit every day, and it's going to add up and it's going to compound, and you're going to get the results you set out to get. It was so exciting to have that 6-figure goal and hit it. And then it's been so exciting, though, even though it's been a little challenging because there's been some ebbs and flows and work and everything, that we now for 2 months, we've continued to consecutively hit that goal, right? It's really amazing to see what you can do if you just plan and do the things you say you're going to do, and ultimately hold yourself massively accountable.
So could a money goal at a different part of someone's business journey, like let's say you are still working in the field, so a money goal would maybe be, and I'm just going to throw out numbers because I don't know, like my company needs to make like $50,000 a month for me to be able to get out of the field, right? So that looks like I need to hire someone to replace me, and I need to sell that much.
Yeah.
So would that, like, how would you work that for someone, especially in that kind of situation where you're limited on how much you can go and sell because you're still in the truck, but you have to get to that next point? Like, that's such a hard transition part for people. And I think that when we're talking about money goals and money in general in this sector, like, we need to kind of acknowledge that really big piece.
Yeah, because I've gotten into a place in business where, I have the goals and I have the targets, but I do a lot of my business decisions now are based off of metrics, but also gut, because I've learned to ultimately trust my gut, and you're going to get that over time. But you can't as easily do that in the beginning. So if I was going to recreate what you're saying, like I want to get out of the field and I want to have some kind of goal based around that, it's all about breaking it down ultimately. Like, so yeah, maybe the number's 50,000. I don't know. What do I need to produce that's going to get those guys paid? And if I'm this profitable on a job, say I'm 30% profitable, that's going to be what I'm figuring all my stuff off of. I need to figure out what that number is. Yes, that I need to get a month where I can get what I need to be paid, and then they can also be paid and the expenses are paid. What do I have to sell to accomplish that? That's how I set that number. And then I break that down to a weekly number. And then I look at like, what is the daily action that I need to be doing? And like, whether you like it or not, maybe you need to work out in the field and get these guys going and then call for 3 hours every evening when you're done to any leads or go to networking events or whatever it takes. And it's going to be uncomfortable at first because there's a snowball effect in business. Like it's never fun in the beginning. It's never the grind of getting things going, that turning this big, massive fucking wheel that hardly wants to turn until you actually get it spinning. And once it gets momentum, it doesn't want to stop. So that would be how I'd set that goal. And I'll just go with your number. 50,000 is the number. Now we figure out that we divide 50,000 by 4, however you want to do it. This is how much we've got to produce a week. Okay, cool. The number gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and it gets more understandable. So if I work the numbers and we'll just do it like I'm doing it right now, I will say that we've got that $50,000 mark. We divide it by 4. We're at 12,500. And now if I divide that by 5, we're at $2,500 a day. So I just got to figure out, how do I get $2,500 a day in the system? What have I already sold for my mowing if I'm mowing? How much more do I need to sell for my landscaping to get that to happen? And maybe this number's really big. Maybe this is more than you need for 2 people. I don't know. But you break it down into those daily actions. If I knew I had to sell $2,500 a day, I would look at the stuff I sell and I would just ultimately make it happen. What do I have to do to market? Maybe not enough people know about me. Maybe I don't have the money to spend on marketing. I've got to figure out a way to spend the money or come up with a way for more people to know about me. Either way, there's so much cool planning you could do around a question just like that to get yourself from here to there before you've realized that you can ultimately trust your gut once you've got some business acumen about you and you've got some business background about you to make you feel safer. Because I think a lot of people, they don't have faith in themselves. So they're not okay with taking the risk of getting there because it doesn't make sense to them for so many reasons. And breaking this down into what we just did makes it so much easier. I hope I answered that question well for you. Was that good?
That was really incredibly.
Because I could dig deeper on it.
No, that was incredible. And it actually answered my next question for you, which is how do you kind of simplify it and break it down? So you really wrapped up like a big chunk of what I wanted to know about in that whole thing. And I loved that. So you've obviously really grown really quickly, and you've gone from like starting point to where you're at now in a really short amount of time, relatively speaking. And over that course of time, you have consumed so much education and so many books, probably hundreds. And on this broad topic of money, maybe if you are someone that feels like they don't have that much information or focus on this topic at all, and maybe a little like confused when you start talking about all of that, what book recommendations would you have? And again, I don't want to put you on the spot, and I know it could be general, but do you have any like big ones that stick out that you would recommend someone listening to read? Money,
like you said, it's a really, really broad topic. And I think some of the best books out there involved in money are going to be anything, and this is not a direct answer, but it's going to be a kind of like a guiding light for you to look at when you're looking at books and see what they're based on, is really anything that's going to allow you to increase the level of what you realize of how much abundance there is in the world. I think when I read Grant Cardone's Be Obsessed or Be Average, or his The 10X Rule, books like that make me realize there is so much fucking more. You also need to, unfortunately, a lot of times do 10 times more than you think to get the results that you want. And that's what holds a lot of people back. But what I would be looking for in any book is some kind of book that's allowing you to realize what is actually available out there. And that's so enlightening. Like a lot of Tony Robbins stuff really shows you it's all about your state. There is more than you could ever consume in this world. There is no limit on anything. And a lot of that's going to allow you to go out there and produce more and be better faster. I want to kind of go back and kind of reel it into what we were talking about, that same person that had the $50,000 goal in his business and is trying to grow his or her business and maybe get out of the field. Because why I think this is for who we speak to typically, why this topic is really big, because I think there's a lot of people that listen to this that are maybe trying to do that in whatever type of company they're in. And I've watched from YouTubers I listen to, or I've seen when I started growing the business, there's always this echo of like, it's really hard to make money or do this or that or the other. And that's not a knock. It can be. But there is all the information in the world out there. I chewed into everything when I started growing a business. Before I was into 75 Hard, I was listening to Audible. And now that I did 75 Hard, now I actually want to read a book. But either way, it's all good. And that's ultimately the success I had in business was from self-education through reading books, through having business coaches, from that going to business conferences, and then this whole time, like never stopping that. I started with Audible. I got my first business coach. I started going to conferences. I got my second serious business coach. I never stopped doing one of these things. I always kept reading. I added a business coach. I added conferences. I added another business coach. I never stopped any of it. I just continued doing more and more and more of the shit that grows me more, so I can be more decisive on money things, more decisive, and be able to trust my gut more. Have a coach or a person that allows me to say, when I'm questioning making the purchase of the business in Illinois a couple years ago, say, hey, I think you should fucking pedal to the floor and do it. It only makes sense for you to expand your market share. Having those people in your corner and having all this knowledge through books. There's no book you're going to read that's not, if it's business focused, they're all money books. Every book that is business focused or helps you focus on your mindset or helps grow you as a person, they're all money focused, because all of that shit, all of foundational for your relationship being right, your mind being right, your health being right, it all is foundational pieces. That's why it's called the foundational four. They're all foundational pieces of making this money part happen. They all contribute to ultimately making it successful. And that's what's exciting about all of it.
I think you hit on a really big thing. If you are surrounded by people telling you that there is a shortage, there is a cap, there is a limit to what you can accomplish, what you want, you're thinking too big, you're going too fast. If those are the voices that you have around you, that's what you will believe, or at least embracing the abundance mindset is going to be that much more challenging, because you're going to have to sift through all the bullshit noise. That's why it's so important for you and your partner, if you have one, to be so aligned and clear on what you are building and understand that there is no limit to what you want. That if you say that you guys want this to be your life, this vision of your life, that's what you guys will create. And when you have people kind of in the background or surrounding you telling you that that's not possible, then it makes it all so much harder. So almost like a little caveat in this that I see is cull your network, I guess, and get the naysayers and the people that are negative and telling you that there is a shortage of what you can have kind of out of the way and quiet.
For instance, in our industry, the people that say you can't make money, just tell them to bug off. They just have not learned enough about making money. Culling your network, like you said, that's so powerful. We talked about this on one of the other, that's going to pertain to a lot of this, all your relationships, all the different things, like culling your network and making sure if the 5 people that you're best friends with all have shitty businesses that don't make money, unfortunately, you're going to be the 6th. If the 5 people that you're best friends with all are rock stars that are producing gobs of money and are expanding their relationships and everything in their life and their businesses, you're going to be the 6th person doing the same. I follow this, and I know a lot of people I follow or friends with feel the same way. And as a man, as women, I think you're probably much better at this, and men, you suck a lot, because you typically, I mean, I don't want to be stereotypical, but most of us are fucking arrogant, and we think that we're a badass whether we are or whether we're not. And even though I think I'm a badass, I think I'm a very little tiny badass on the spectrum of much bigger badasses out there, and I've got a long road of badassery to go, and it's just like a business. It is never ending. But what I'm getting to here is the feeling of where you want to be when you pick your 5 people or your network or what you do. Your goal should be to be the dumbest person in every room you're in. And if you're not okay because you feel insignificant or you're insecure about, oh, well, they're so much better. Well, I'm sorry, you're just going to go a lot slower because you're too caught up on feeling like you need to be a badass. And yeah, it can be fun to be around a bunch of people where you are definitely the rock star in that crowd, but it adds nothing to your life. And it's crazy how I've learned this all throughout my life, all growing up racing motorcycles. You don't ride with people slower than you because it doesn't help you. You only ride with fucking fast motherfuckers. If you want to grow your business, you only go to people and hang out with people that have done way fucking more than you. So when you're shining in your insignificance all the time because everybody around you has done a lot more, it's going to pull you forward so much fucking faster.
Would you say that's a comfortable thing to do or an uncomfortable thing to do?
It's definitely an uncomfortable thing to do. You know, I remember that from a young age, like being around somebody on a dirt bike that fucking rocked your shit was so frustrating. Being in the body shop and putting myself around people that were way better than me and wanting to be better. So I was always around them rather than just do the easy shit, just like the racing. Everybody wants to go off the jump and jumps the jumps, because that's what's fun and that's what's easy. But it's the turns and the shit where it's really, really hard. Like nobody wants to do the stuff they're not good at, even though it's the stuff that you're not good at that you need to get better at so you can actually be a badass. And sometimes that's right and sometimes that's wrong. Sometimes in business, when you suck at something, you should just pay somebody else to do it. You know, so it's not like racing where it's all on your back. So there's caveats to this situation. But yeah, it's totally uncomfortable to go out there and feel like I'm the most insignificant person here out of the group of people I'm around. But ultimately, it's got the biggest payoff to be the dumbest person everywhere you go.